What's up guys? Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Hayabusa H5 boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Okay guys, today we have the Hayabusa H5 boxing gloves. We'll do a close-up weigh-in and review on. This is Hayabusa's newest release in regards to boxing gloves. I've had these for a couple weeks now. I've been training with them, and these are by far my favorite Hayabusa boxing gloves. Obviously, I'll let you guys know why here in the review. But first, let's do a close-up of the gloves. It uses the same material that they use in the T3, at least the synthetic versions of the C3. It has this synthetic leather material on the exterior with a pretty cool looking design. It has kind of like a curvature. I wouldn't even call it a chevron. It's almost like a wave, like a swoosh sign almost. And then you have that same suede-like material that they like to utilize on their thumb to help wick away sweat. So if you're using these and you're sweating your butt off while training, the whole premise behind the suede thumb is that you can wipe it against your face and kind of help absorb the sweat off your face rather than your sweat kind of running down the leather material. So you have that, and it kind of follows along with that kind of that swoosh curvature. Then it says Hayabusa, which is actually embroidered into the back of that faux suede material. You do have a elastic wraparound strap, which I do like a lot. It's a great feature in this particular glove because it gives it much more of a locked-in feel. The Hayabusa logo again on the back, same thing with that kind of that swoosh design right there. It does use 5-layer multi-layer foam padding, which I like as well. Again, the Hayabusa logo on the fingertip compartment. And then the palm side uses kind of more of a stiff mesh material. It's kind of the same material that they use in the Hayabusa S4 gloves. It has more of a rigid feel. It doesn't feel like the Everlast mesh material that feels softer. This has a much more rigid and rugged feel. Double stitching. You do have kind of a smaller grip bar. I wish it was a little bit bigger. A nylon attached thumb, ventilated holes on the thumb. Hayabusa is written down vertically on the wrist. It says 14 ounces right there. And then the front of the wrist, I would say, has about 1/8 of an inch of padding, and then I'd say about 1 inch of padding on the back of the wrist. And it's pretty dense padding, almost feels like EVA or maybe even a rubber sheet on the inside right there. So a pretty cool looking glove. Again, I would say that this is right in between, as far as models go, this is in between their S4s and their T3 gloves, which are by far their most popular glove, the Hayabusa T3s. So this is kind of in between, but I think, in my opinion, that these are their best gloves. So let's go ahead and put these on the scale, see how much these weigh, being 14 ounces. Hopefully they're accurate. So the right glove weighs right in at 14 ounces exactly, perfect. And the left glove is right at 14.1. So they're almost exactly on weight. That's great to see. So training gloves, exactly on weight. And again, just to kind of give you guys a close-up, stitching looks pretty good. Overall, I'll show you that suede faux material, that leather. And there you have it. Let's go ahead and do the review. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the Hayabusa H5 boxing gloves. You can get this anywhere between 10 to 16 ounces. I got mine in 14. Comes only as a Velcro closure only glove currently. Full synthetic leather material with some suede on here. These are made in Pakistan. And color-wise, you can get it in this black and gold. They also have a black and blue, I believe a black and white, a black and red, a purple, if I'm not mistaken, as well as all white with black. So different color schemes to choose from and different sizes. And this is actually my favorite Hayabusa boxing glove as of yet. Now, I've done a review on their T3 model, which is their more expensive high-end boxing glove. And it's also their most popular, their most advertised and marketed glove. I'm pretty sure you've seen that glove everywhere on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're at. Hayabusa markets those gloves pretty heavily. The big difference between that and these gloves is you have that dual wrist closure system, but there's definitely some similarities. And then they have kind of their entry level S4 glove, which I also did a review on. Wasn't a huge fan of that. I thought that the foam that they use in there, that I believe it was a molded foam, wasn't my favorite. Just the overall feel of the glove wasn't my favorite. Definitely decent gloves, you can still use them, but these right here, to me, Hayabusa is trying to fill that void between the S4 and the T3 gloves, both in terms of the performance of the glove as well as the price. But in my opinion, performance-wise, these are the best ones out of all three of them. Now, design-wise, when you're looking at the glove, they're medium sized. They're not overly huge. They're not super small. You can see that the width of the glove is pretty good. I mean, it's not a huge glove by any means, so that's one thing I like. It doesn't feel like it's overbearing on your hand. Now, you can actually see the synthetic material, very similar to the stuff that Rival uses that they call microfiber. The same material that they use on their synthetic T3 models, but it has kind of this swoosh design that kind of comes up and over with the Hayabusa logo on the finger compartment. One thing I like that Hayabusa does is that their gloves can really cater to both the traditional boxing community as well as the MMA crowd as well. Now, typically when you see MMA gear, you think of brands like Venom and Bad Boy and Tap Out and kind of these brands that have very loud graphics on their equipment. And not a lot of people are fans of that. Some people don't mind, but a lot of people aren't really big fans of that. And even with Venom, I know a lot of people hate the way Venom gloves look just because there's a lot of graphics all over the gloves. I feel like Hayabusa does a really nice job putting their twist on the look of the glove without overdoing it. So even if you go to a boxing gym and you're the kind of person that is a little bit more aware of what the way your gloves look, or you're a little bit more concerned, Hayabusa I think does a really good job of not overly doing it with their gloves, with both the H5 and even their T3 and their S4 models. So you have that. You also have that micro suede type material on the thumb that wraps around to the back and towards the front. The premise behind this, just like the T3, and I believe the S4 even has that, is that when you're sweating, you can rub this against your head basically to kind of rub the sweat off your temple, and then it absorbs it. So you can see there, I just actually got done working out, so I'm actually sweating right now. But you can see kind of the effects of your face rubbing on it, and the sweat goes on there, and it actually does a pretty good job of absorbing that, and then it will end up drying. Now over time, this will start to get kind of dry and kind of brittle, but you can always go with some soap and some water, mild soap, and kind of rub that out and get rid of all of that sweat. You have the Hayabusa that's stitched onto the back and a Velcro closure strap with the Hayabusa logo there with a piece of elastic. Now this elastic on here is really nice. It actually feels thicker than most elastic bands you find on some entry-level gloves, which I really like as well. But the great thing about this is that they give you a little bit of extra room right here to wrap around. So if you really need to really lock your wrist in, it gives you a little bit of extra overlap right there. So that's a nice added touch. You have the Hayabusa right there, 14 ounces. Double stitching on the palm, as well as this mesh material, which feels a little bit more rigid than the mesh that you see on Rival as well as an Everlast. This one feels a little bit like a tighter knit. The weave on here feels a little bit tighter. Do keep in mind that Velcro still will pull on that, so just try to keep your Velcro away, otherwise it will kind of pull on this mesh and add a little bit of fraying, so be mindful of that. You do have a pretty decent sized grip bar. It's about medium, ventilated holes on the thumb, and a nylon attached thumb. So there you have it. Quality wise, these gloves are made in Pakistan, and for a synthetic glove, they actually look pretty good. I didn't really find any issues in terms of the stitching. Everything looks pretty good. Seams look good. The synthetic leather material is bunched up nicely. The only thing, like I said, is the fraying, so you just have to keep the Velcro away from that. And not a lot of people are huge fans of mesh material, but the premise behind that, again, just like the thumb, is like you're trying to wick away moisture. Sweat is kind of your enemy. But the logos look good. No issues with the multi-layer foam having any bumps or any imperfections. They do a nice job with the stitching there. It looks pretty good. I mean, I guess you can make a case for that right there being a little off. The embroidery on the Hayabusa looks clean. It looks good there. The inside liner uses a tricot liner, which is really comfortable. Doesn't bunch up and it's nice and cool. and overall it looks pretty good. So again, for a synthetic glove, you're starting to see an increase in quality in synthetic gloves in general. Over the past couple of years, you know, genuine leather was the way to go, and still is for a lot of people, but synthetics are really starting to kind of close that gap. Now, comfort of the glove, sliding your hands in here. Being a 14-ounce glove, these fit perfectly. I'm a medium-sized person. I'm about 5'8", 150 pounds, and with my hand wraps on, these fit perfectly. I could imagine if you have longer fingers or fatter hands, you can go with 16 and they'd fit you good, but I feel like these gloves aren't too narrow and they're not too wide. Nice deep finger compartment. Thumb feels great. No issues with jamming at the fingertip. Not too much foam on the back of the thumb either, to where it feels like it pinches down and makes your thumb numb out. Wrist support feels good, and just like I showed you guys earlier, this extra elastic right here really allows you to kind of pull that side over. You have about 1/8 of an inch of padding on the inside wrist and about 1 inch of really dense kind of a EVA or even like a rubber sheet of foam on the back of the wrist. So once you roll this over, you can really lock it in. And again, you have extra overlap here. So if you really want to just kind of torque that down, maybe you have in your wrist, you can do so to give yourself that extra. Nice thing about that is it won't rub, this material of the Velcro won't rub on a bare leather surface. So everything feels great. It has a nice little neoprene fingertip pad, so you can really grip down, make a great fist. It does take some time to break in. The glove is a little stiff when you first get them. I've been using these for about 2 weeks now, and they're finally breaking in a little bit, but it does take some time putting some rounds in on the bag with these gloves. But overall, very comfortable gloves. I didn't have any issues with discomfort. Now, protection and performance, again, just like comfort, I feel is excellent with these gloves. I was really surprised. I felt like the T3s and even the S4 gloves were a little bit on the bouncy side. So when you would hit the bag with them, I felt like the foam would kind of bounce off the bag more, a little too springy for my liking, where I felt like I wanted something that will give you pop, but you would feel like your punches would sink in a little bit. And you got these with this glove. This is a 5-layer, multi-layer foam, and you can actually see the density of the foam is probably more on the medium to firm side, but it's definitely not super stiff like a molded foam, to where when you push on it, it just feels like, you know, rock solid. So there's definitely some give, which I like. And obviously they're not super soft either, like a puncher's glove. So I love the foam that they use in here. And the performance of the glove, to me, is the best out of all 3 gloves I've used from Hayabusa. That's just my personal feeling, especially using it on the bag. This nozzle bag, you guys have probably seen all my other videos where I'm hitting this, but it is a pretty stiff bag. Even when you break it in, it is pretty stiff. But I feel like when I throw my punches on this with these gloves, I can really throw with a ton of force and not feel like my hands are gonna have any issues with my wrist or my knuckles. The great thing about this is that you feel like you land on the 2 front knuckles all the time. Some gloves you have to really turn your punches over to feel like you're making contact with the bag. And with these, you feel like you land right on there every single time. So your punch form is really nice with these gloves because your hand is really tucked in there and you're landing perfectly on spot. Now, cost-wise, these gloves are $99. So they're right in between the T3s, which I believe are $139, and the S4s, which I believe are $79, if I'm not mistaken. So you're kind of right in the middle, and definitely save yourself some money and get these over the T3s, is my opinion. Now, I guess if you want to say the T3s do have an advantage with wrist support, because you get that dual X closure system. So if you do have a wrist injury that you really feel that you want more extra support, maybe the T3s are for you. I still think that these do a really nice job of giving you good wrist support. And I definitely like the way they feel on the bag a lot more than the T3s, and definitely the S4. So that's just my opinion. Save yourself 50, 40 bucks over the T3s, and these perform well. And they look, to me, look just as nice as the T3s design-wise. I think they look pretty cool as well. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Hayabusa H5s. See you guys next time. Peace.